Fairy tale is a legacy. People love fairy tales. People love something where they can travel with their mind, with their fantasy, with their hopes, in a way.
This film is about tales and storytelling, and how their influence is present even today throughout Russian culture. Woven into Russia's literary heritage, they have become part of the whole way that Russians see the world. Every Russian child learns by heart words by the great poet Pushkin. His tale of Ruslan and Lyudmila is told not by a human, but by a cat. By the sea stands a green oak. There's a golden chain around that oak, and day and night a wise cat keeps walking around and around the tree on the end of the chain. He walks to the right and starts a song. He walks to the left and tells a fairy tale.
Fairy tales are based on many, many factors. You read them several times when you're 10 years old, and you are full of, pictures, full of stories. You remember them.
Fairy tales are everywhere in a Russian childhood, not only told by parents and by grandparents, but found in literature and painting, and in the world of music, dance and theatre. Tchaikovsky, who often wrote music for children and about their lives, described the theatre as a place of fairy tale enchantment. He said that the theatre is a place where we come not just to listen, but to see. He observed that theatre music must be like scene painting, simple, clear and colourful.
Детство и сказка. Естественно, детство связано со сказкой. И вот мое детство было сказкой. И правильно, как сказал Экзюпери, что мы все вышли из нашего детства.
Мне кажется, мне и до сих пор кажется, что русские сказки тем хороши, что это абсолютно, как бы сейчас сказали, виртуальный мир. Это был абсолютно параллельный и совсем никак не соприкасавшийся с нашей реальностью мир.
The theater takes you away from reality, especially from the boring side of the reality. In the theater, you can imagine that there are no borders and there are no limits. Only your belief in the beauty, or belief in the depth, belief in color, in the movement, because movement always means that you can do so many things, so that's why ballet is so attractive.
Pushkin wrote in his verse drama Yevgeny Onegin, "The dancer stands. She, brushing the floor with one foot, turns slowly on the other one, and suddenly she jumps and flies as suddenly, flies like thistledown on the lips of the wind. She coils and uncoils and clicks one foot against the other."
Букварочки взяли, это может быть и ручечка или карандашик, да, или закладочка, пожалуйста.
Вот царь с царицей померли, остались дети одни, и пошли странствовать по белу свету. Шли, шли, шли.
In the contemporary classroom, myth and fairy tale are still as resonant as they were when Pushkin wrote in his prelude to Ruslan, "We received from our forefathers a small legacy of folk tales and songs. What can we say of them? If we treasure even the poorest of old coins, should we not preserve the literary remains of our ancestors?"
Котлы кипят кипучие, ножи точат булатные, хотят меня зарезать. Она ему отвечала. Она ему все рассказала. Царь обрадовался, козленочек тоже, так и прыгает в саду. Все зазеленело и зацвело. А колдунья приказал царь казнить. Разложили на дворе костер и сожгли его. После того царь...
These friends are all active in Moscow's cultural life.
Была такая традиция. Взрослые садились за стол и читали Гоголя. И мне, 4 лет, ребенку разрешалось сесть и тоже слушать. В общем, такая большая честь для меня. Я очень гордился. Я только потом понял, что это все делалось специально для меня. Я думал, что это им нужно, это они читают сказки Гоголя, а вот если я себя буду хорошо вести, то и мне разрешат послушать.
The roots of the Russian fairy tale as a modern work of art are here, deep in the Russian countryside, in the little village of Mikhailovskoye, where Alexander Pushkin spent much of his childhood. Here he first heard the traditional village fairy tales, which he would later transform into his own poetry.
Pushkin is very good. It's the best spiritual support, it's the best mental and, I would say, brain training, brain sharpening, and also brain empowering friend you can find.
Пушкин – это наше все. Так в свое время, в XIX веке, сказал критик, поэт Аполлон Григорьев. Ну, не было бы русской литературы без Пушкина, не было бы. Понимаете, вот няня Арина Родионовна была, в общем-то, неграмотная женщина. Она не знала грамоте, но она знала множество старых сказок, легенд, преданий, песен. И Пушкин учится у нее настоящему, образному, живому, великорусскому языку. А ведь нянька Арина, так ее звали здесь, каждую сказку свою так начинала. У моря лукоморья стоит дуб, а на том дубу золотые цепи, а по тем цепям ходит кот. Вверх идет, песни поет, вниз идет, сказки сказывает. И в 28 году при вторичном издании поэма Пушкина «Руслан и Людмила» выходит с этим, до боли всем знакомым сказочным прологом «У лукоморья дуб зеленый». Пушкин пишет так: «Няня, моя единственная подруга, и с нею мне только не скучно». Или еще: «Вечером слушаю сказки няни и вознаграждаю себя тем самым за недостатки моего проклятого воспитания. Что за прелесть эти сказки! Каждая есть поэма». Этой женщине Россия очень обязана. А Пушкин ей обязан глубоким знанием русского фольклора, и имя ее он обессмертил. Помните: «Подруга дней моих суровых, голубка дряхлая моя, одна в глуши лесов сосновых, давно-давно ты ждешь меня».
И вот этот домик наш на пригорке, со спуском к прудам чудесным, окруженным сиреневым садом. И пруды, которые замерзали зимой, и мы катались на санках. Царицынские пруды, на салазках, на санках, кувыркались там. И весной, когда начинал таять снег, и ручейки сбегали вниз в пруд, и мы кораблики пускали. И потом вдруг весна в полном расцвете, и вишневые сады расцвели. И сирень расцвела сначала, сирень фиолетовая и голубая, а потом белая сирень. И все это спуск к прудам. И ощущение счастья, радости, солнца. Были дождливые дни, наверное. Но для меня все времена года были одинаково прекрасны. Вот зима наступила, снег пошел, будем кататься.
They could learn from their nurses. They could hear from their parents wonderful stories, and you would always have this very beautiful image, of course, of Russian fairy tale world.
In ancient legendary times, tales were told by the bard or bayan. As Pushkin wrote, "Suddenly a pleasant song rang out. At the sonorous running sound of the dulcimer, all fell silent, listened to the bard, and the sweet singer gave glory to the enchanting Lyudmila and Ruslan."
You can always hear about wonderful costumes, miraculous transformations. There would be always a danger, there would be always, most probably, happy end. It provokes your own imagination, even if you are a child, 5, 7, 10 years old, to work on many more scenarios of your own. The fantasy is awakened, and you become, even without the knowledge that it happened to you, you become a small but important Russian artist.
Making young children into artists is something Russians traditionally take very seriously. The rigorous and sometimes harsh discipline of schools like the Gnesin and the Petersburg Vaganova Ballet Academy has produced virtuosi for over a century. Rachmaninoff wrote, "Now began a life of discipline and serious study. Zveryev's sister supervised us with the utmost severity. Woe to him who began practice 5 minutes late or finished 5 minutes early. He would be treated without mercy."
I was 10 years old when I realized that I have a very, very strong link to my piano teacher. He put such a high goals, such incredible horizons in front of me and told them, go there. And I knew I can't, but he always would tell me, that's what you have to do. We shouldn't forget the tradition goes at least 150 years ago, and the rules didn't change very much.
Вот это еще раз сыграй. Здесь уже настоящая мазурка.
There are very many schools in Russia. It was in a way a fashion. At least I remember it extremely well. There was still the feeling of importance that boy or girl would go to the normal school, but it will be very nice and will be a matter of even pride of the family that there will be a combination with the lessons in the music school, maybe learn something about paintings. They would also think of maybe giving you a chance to attend dancing lessons, which was a very good thing. You cannot, by command, giving the orders, find another Tolstoy or Pushkin. Certainly not. But you can give a certain degree of acceleration.
In this specialist children's world from which future artists grow, the teacher is not merely a master and a severe disciplinarian, but a magician, a sorcerer and a guide, a Pied Piper, someone whose own example as a performer awakens the fantasy in children. This is Mark Bukarski. In Stravinsky's Petrushka, the puppet theatre becomes a world of transformation, and the artist, the magician, is the puppet master who brings the toys to life.
жизнь была как сказка. Ну, например, мы жили в ГИТИСе, Государственный институт театрального искусства. Это была великолепная коммуналка, там жил профессор Михайлов, знаток русской литературы. От нашей семьи за занавеску, а через фанерную стену жил участковый милиционер, который по воскресеньям напивался и стрелял. Вот. А стенка-то фанерная. Бабушка кричит. Я жил со своим сводным братом, однолеткой, и бабушка кричала: «Ложись!»
The system allowed that much space that the media, so to say, in a modern language, would allow, again, culture, literature, museums, symphonic or opera or ballet, life, activities, locally or national-wide, to be reported and to be always in the conscience of people that this is what the best society in the world will bring to the whole world one day. And this is what, again, our great leader Vladimir Ilyich Lenin wanted everyone to share. When I was 7 or 8 or 10 years old, I was attending a normal school in Vladikavkaz, in northern Ossetia, in Caucasus, just part of Soviet Union. There was a normal teacher or teachers who would tell us, without much pressure on the kids, that Lenin was very, very good boy, and after that he was grown and became very good young man. After that he was grown and became very important revolutionary, and he transformed our country to the better. That he tried to build the best society ever built, that he wanted everyone to be equal, certainly everyone to be happy, and not only Lenin but also smaller people. That was structurally the way for us to live in Soviet Union. At least this is what some people thought was the best scenario for these 220 or 230 million people who lived in Soviet Union. Then it looked like a land of paradise, dreams, equality, brotherhood, freedom, freedom, freedom and freedom, and peace, and peace.
Вот надо понимать двойственность. Понимаете, вот двойственность этого мира, потому что, с одной стороны, я попал в блокаду, вот, но блокада для меня опять-таки одно из лучших воспоминаний детства. Потому что я был в Ленинграде, потом в Ленинграде я был, меня окружали замечательные люди, вот, которые старались вот в этих ужасных условиях сделать, чтобы жизнь ребенка была по-прежнему прекрасной. И она таковой была. Я был переполнен любовью моих окружающих, и вот они как могли, они скрывали эту, ту, другую сторону, хотя она постепенно тоже открывалась. Ну и благодаря этому, наверное, вот это начало эта любовь, и эта русская сказка, и русская поэзия тоже вошли в мою жизнь.
Конечно.
40 лет отдано поэзии и мультипликации.
Сашке замечательная поэзия.
One monster familiar to every Russian is a Tsar who never dies, Koschei, the Immortal.
Все силы любви ее чары, и в царстве волшебном ней погибла уж Витязь много. Искателей смерти моей. Царевна! В теле, присядь-ка к изголовью, да песней побаюкай.
Спокойной ночи, дети! Спокойной ночи! Спокойной ночи! Спокойной ночи!
Спать пора, спать пора.
Night is often presented not just as a time of fears and fantasies, but also of dreams and freedom. In Pushkin's famous lines, it was a nighttime animal, the cat, who created fairy tales by walking round and round a tree. And Pushkin's cat can take you anywhere you want, freed from the logic of the grey realities of day.
Окошко свободно. Сама по себе. Пошла по деревьям, слушая неясные зовы, отзвуки, отклики, вздохи.
In his song cycle, The Nursery, the composer Mussorgsky shows a petulant child rejecting the scary side of fairy tale in favor of absurdity and slapstick.
Или вот что, расскажи мне лучше про царя с царицей, что за морем жили в терину богатом. Еще был, как чихнут стекла вдребезги. Знаешь, нянюшка, ты про Богу-то уж не рассказывай. Бог с ним, с Богом. Расскажи мне, няня, ту смешную нам. Почему?
It was Glinka who first chose to make fairy tale and fantasy the seedbed for a national operatic style. The princess with whom every Russian girl can identify is Pushkin's beautiful Lyudmila. The young princess quietly bloomed and grew, rose up and flowered. White of face and black of eyebrow, meek and mild, and a suitor came to seek her hand. Every heroine needs a hero. Glinka celebrates the noble knight, Prince Ruslan. Borodin conjures up Prince Igor. The Soviet composer Glier chose Ilya Muromets, whose horse covered half a mile in one leap, and who announced his presence with the words, "A strong and mighty hero rode by here, Ilya Muromets."
You can defend your motherland, you can find a hero, there will be always someone who will save your country. And I think not very different it looked for the children of 19th century with what I can remember as years of my own childhood. We came to believe that heroes are important and national treasures are of complete importance, never forgetting that you belong to something. Borodin was very attracted to the, let's say, opportunity simply to write something about what he himself described bogatiri, bogatyrskaya, which means, well, I translate like mighty knights. mighty. You immediately feel somebody with a huge sword, with maybe a huge beard, and was dressed in a warrior, but mighty.
The mainspring of such heroic stories comes from the threat of supernatural powers. Omnipotent wizards like Chernobog, the dark god, who may strike at any time.
And then, of course, in a Russian fairy tale scenario, everyone should wake up and there would be 2 or 3 or maybe more men, young men, most of them brave men. They should rescue Ludmila. It was such a masterful hand and such unbelievable fantasy of Pushkin, what would immediately make you believe in all of it, and it would transport you, from realities of your class or realities of your just small apartment where you live as a parents, that you would really be totally taken away.
To the Russian composer, the greatest imaginative challenge is the quest, the hero's journey to win treasure, or to release the captured heroine, or conquer the forces of darkness. And the vast territory of Russia offers endless possibilities.
Russians in general understand, even subconsciously, that they live in a very big country. So there is a vast, enormous, huge space for fantasies, for folklore, as we say, for miraculous transformations, for incredible trips. You would be prepared to believe in it completely.
The earliest known Russian story of all is the 12th century epic, The Lay of Prince Igor's Host. It describes the archetypal legendary quest. My men are renowned warriors, swaddled to the sound of trumpets, nursed beneath helmets, fed from the point of a spear. The roads are known to them, the ravines familiar to them. Their bows are strung, their quivers open, their sabres whetted. They race across the steppe like grey wolves, seeking honor for themselves and glory for their prince. In Ruslan, the climax to the archetypal quest comes in a confrontation with a monstrous severed head. The language of fairy tales and fantasy even finds its way into Chekhov's Uncle Vanya. His dream of a better world at the end of the play inspired Rachmaninoff's song, We Shall Rest. The dream is equally resonant in today's very different Russia.
Все наши страдания
I just want to say that we are small people, and we are lucky to have big ones as our predecessors, giving us such a gift. And since some people do not believe in the future of Russia, I think that it's very simple to find reasons for enthusiasm, for optimism, for the hope, and for confidence for people of my country. They just have to look here. They shouldn't look over Atlantic, They shouldn't look. They always have to find it. I don't mean literally in this room. I mean here, within yourself.
Огни горят горючие, котлы кипят кипучие, ножи торчат булатные, хотят меня зарезать, а
It's people to people, person to person, person to persons, and I give it to 10, 10 give it to 100, 100 give it to million. In this case, you say tradition is living. There is no other way for my country to stay important for the world than through culture.
остались дети одни, и пошли с трассы по белу свету. Шли, идут.
Опять просится он у царя. Царь, пусти меня на море сходить, водиться испечь, мешочком сполоскать.
Царь пустил его, вот козленочек закричал: Аленушка, сестрица моя, выплюнь на бережок. Огни горят горючие, котлы кипят кипучие, ножи точат булатные, хотят меня